Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. So as we settle in here under the metaphoric blanket fort, I thought I would share with you a little bit about me since we'll be spending some time together. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And that means that I have a wonderful job that I've been doing since 2006. And I am here to help you come into your gifts, open to your magic, and connect with your divine team. I do this through one-on-one sessions and soul mentoring. And what I'm really known for are my classes. I love teaching, and I offer a new class about every 6 weeks or so, and it's always changing because we're all always evolving, and it allows people to come back time and time again for our classes because they're not always the same. And most of my classes are small in size. So if you ever choose to take one of my classes, we'll have an opportunity to get to know each other, which is such a joy for me. And you can learn more about everything that I do at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list. And then you'll be in the know of everything I have going on. So this podcast is an unlikely mashup of two of my favorite forms of self-care. Working with the angels, which I do every day, and listening to a sleep podcast, which I do every night as I'm getting ready to drift off to sleep. And I love this genre of sleep podcasts so much that I was guided to create this one for you. And I know some of you listen during your waking hours, and I get to keep you company as you go about your day. And others of you are finding this to be very helpful as you're drifting off to sleep. So the way each episode works is we start off with about the first 15 or 20 minutes where I'm rambling a bit with you, and I might share a spiritual insight or two depending on what is happening. And I also bring in the angels so that you know that they're here. And then for the rest of the hour, we move into story time. And story time, each episode's a little bit different. I might share with you a story from my life. We might flip through the pages of an old TV guide or a community cookbook or something that's in the public domain. This is the kind of podcast that you don't have to pay close attention to. So it's not meant to be riveting. It's meant to be just interesting enough to keep you company, but also a little boring so that it's easy to fall asleep. Because I don't know about you, but I love drifting off to sleep while I'm watching television or listening to a voice murmuring off in the distance, not in an annoying way like neighbors are talking too loud, but more the comfort that I found as a child when I would drift off to sleep and hear my parents' voices downstairs as they went about their evening, that I've always had a really positive association with listening to something as I'm drifting off to sleep. And so I bring this to you as well. So as I record this, it is early on a Friday morning and the sun is already up. And the reason I wanted to tell you what time of day it is because as I look out my window, there are all these tiny clouds like popcorn in the sky, lots of little cotton balls, and it is so pretty. And the sun is just coming up, so you can see the sun reflecting on the clouds. And what I find so helpful about these moments is they don't require anything of us other than to take a few breaths and take in the beauty that's here, to come present into this moment, which is asking nothing of us other than to be. So I'm going to invite you to just get comfortable in whatever way works best for you, and maybe take in a breath or two. And just allow the sweetness of this moment to flow to you. I can feel the angels are here with us already. And as I said that, 2 hummingbirds are dancing outside my window. That's always a good sign of magic. So I send you the blessings of the hummingbirds and the soft white popcorn clouds. I send you the blessings of love and healing and goodness and light. So just take a breath in and allow yourself to receive. And the angels are already here, but let me call them in so you know they are here as well. So beautiful angels on high, I am so grateful for your invitation to come into this beautiful sanctuary with you. I'm so grateful you are joining us here in service to supporting each one of our beloveds that is listening to this message. And I ask that you surround each one of my beautiful friends here with love and goodness and light. And angels, I ask that you pave a path filled with grace and miracles. That kindness meets us where we are. That our path is illuminated. And that we know that we are loved. And so, dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in and out. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and I think I always say that, but it's because it's always true. And each time I say it, it feels so poignant because whatever the developments of the moment are have just been revealed, and it seems like a lot until we finally acclimate to whatever changes have come into our surroundings. But a lot of people I know right now are going through a lot. And it's not of their own making, it's life. That life happens. Life is a life, as you've heard me quote from A Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd. Life is life, and our journey is navigating it with as much integrity, right, and goodness and kindness as we can. We are all messy and imperfect and beautiful and wondrous, all at the same time. So you get to be you. You don't have to become a different version of yourself in order to experience love. You don't have to tick off more achievements on your checklist of life to earn your place in the hall of goodness. You just be you. Being you is such a gift in this world. And you know, we've talked before here about the journey towards self-love and how elusive that can be sometimes. The other thing is self-compassion. I don't know that we're taught how to come into self-compassion. because we're taught that it is like self-pity. Oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself. We're modeled that somehow having compassion for where we are is self-indulgent. And it's not about coming into a place of self-pity and a disempowered perspective, but rather it is holding with love and empathy for the aspects of us that are feeling tender or overwhelmed or afraid. That it's not a sign of weakness, it's a human experience. We all feel everything. So when I'm feeling sad or overwhelmed or super judgy about myself, I have learned the value of dropping into my heart and saying, well, God bless me. This is hard. God bless my heart. I am having a hard time right now. It allows me altitude so that I can come up into the frequency of love and honor where I am. It's not about playing the victim or woe is me. It's acknowledging that each of us is dealing with a very complex tapestry of life curriculum. And there are times we have it all together and we're feeling great, and there's times when we feel low. And divine love teaches us that we can love ourselves through all of it, because love is not based on an achievement. It's not based on some arbitrary curriculum that we need to achieve in order to receive love. Love is a frequency that is always available to us, like a radio station. That even if we're not tuning into it, it's playing something all the time. So take a breath in. And if you're not sure you know how to reach the frequency of self-love and self-compassion, ask your angels to help you. Because they love you and they know who you are and they know what's in your heart. Just take a breath and breathe in the love. And imagine and visualize allowing it to be so that the space that you are in is being filled with divine light. I see it as a soft pink light, but it can be whatever color you wish it to be. And it is creating a beautiful sphere of love around you. And this love is flowing to every cell of your body, every thought in your mind, and every emotion in your heart. And this beautiful infusion of love, it is radiating and rippling to everyone you love, everything you love. It is rippling to. It is rippling throughout all the threads of your life. It is rippling across your timeline. It is traveling to the past. And it is also paving the way ahead for you. So just breathe and allow this love to flow. Allowing yourself to receive the love of your angels as you open to the goodness of your own heart. And allow yourself to rest and receive and replenish. And so if this is your bedtime, I invite you to cozy on up and snuggle on in. As I've shared with you before, I love bedtime, so this is a heartfelt invitation for you to get cozy and snuggly in whatever way you prefer. And if you are in the middle of your waking hours, stay awake. and do whatever it is that you are doing. And I will do my best. I will endeavor to be good company for you. Isn't that a lovely thought? When we're in good company. Years ago, as I was contemplating how I wanted to show up in relationship, because it wasn't really about anyone else, I wrote this line on a Post-it note that was on my wall for a long time, which is, I am experiencing relationships that uplift, enrich, and inspire me. And again, that had so much more to do with myself than about the people around me, because it meant that I was showing up in service to these experiences. I was co-creating this kind of space with the connections that I had. So when I talk about being in good company, that's what I mean. May we uplift and enrich and inspire one another. May we cultivate sacred space together so that the veil makes it easier for the love to flow through. And I love you, and I am so deeply grateful for you. So you rest, receive, and we'll move on into story time. So as we start in story time, I thought perhaps I could give you a little behind the scenes of a podcast. So I like to record these early in the morning. And most of the time it's very quiet. It's not quiet. I hope this is not TMI. But what's not quiet right now is my stomach. My stomach keeps growling. Because I had coffee this morning and I have not had breakfast. And so, every minute I am pausing the recording. And I will do my best to edit out all of my stomach gurgles, but I am laughing over here because every time I get a head of steam here, my stomach sounds like a monster from the deep. So, a little human reflections on the art of recording a podcast, because I use a really good microphone and it picks up everything. So usually I'm worried about the traffic. This morning I'm worried about my stomach. I'm not even that hungry. There's something happening down there. I'm all good though. TMI, but we're friends, right? This is kind of the innocuous conversation we would be having if we were out to lunch. So here we are. My husband will say, when we're looking for that awkward transition in a conversation, my husband might say, well, here we are. It was a dark and stormy night. And that's always our segue into, okay, now we'll shift out of the dark and stormy night and the conversation about my digestive tract. But it makes me more relatable, doesn't it? So if you ever choose to have a podcast, you might have to discern the time of the day that has the least amount of other noises that you might not want your super fantastic podcasting microphone to pick up. So what's story time about? I promise it is not going to be about my body. I really wasn't sure what I was going to have for story time. I've been a little ungrounded about this podcast lately. I love this podcast. I love it, and I'm going to keep it going, but as I've shared with you, I've been kind of in this creative lull. I'm not sure what to bring to you. So my choices were to read through an old Country Life in America magazine from 1901. Very interesting, but those tend to be a little harder to edit because I have to skip around to different places in the magazine. So that will be coming shortly, but not today. I have a really good old TV guide, you guys, but we're not going to do that one. But do you want a preview of what it's going to be? Okay, I'll tell you who's on the cover, and you're going to know pretty quickly whether or not who's on the cover is relevant to any of your memories. So if I say Greg and Jenny, does it spark anything for you? If I say Greg and Jenny, all my children, you'll know right away if this is part of your nostalgia. But I bought a TV guide with Greg and Jenny on the cover, and we're going to do a whole episode about Greg and Jenny and Jesse and Angie, and when Jenny and Jesse ran away to New York for the summer, and we'll go through that TV guide. But again, that's not this episode. I'm really not just trying to tease you. I'm trying to share with you my creative process. And then I thought, I have some other stories I can share with you about what it was like to get my angel therapy practitioner training, but that's a whole other story I'm not going to do right now. And then I have a stack of cookbooks and community cookbooks and old food-related ephemera that I've purchased off of eBay, each one which could be its own episode. And so I went through it and I was like, all right, angels, what are we going to talk about? And I purchased about a month ago this little lot, which means that it's like more than one thing, that had something about KitchenAid Mixmasters, which we'll talk about at some point. But I have this little booklet. It's a recipe booklet from Jell-O. Now, I know Jell-O is not vegetarian friendly, but I'm hoping that you will forgive me because I just think this is interesting and it's nostalgic and it's a look back to how Jell-O became a part of the American culture and the American palate, and perhaps in other places in the world as well. I have shared with you in a recent episode that I am not fond of savory gelatin things, but I did grow up with sweet Jell-O, which may have some fruit in it or some Cool Whip or sherbet or something else. So on the cover, this says, Jell-O, America's most famous dessert. 10 cents a package. Pure fruit flavors. And there's a picture of a woman, and she is speaking into an old-timey telephone. You know, the one that was straight up and down, and you had that receiver that went to your ear, and you spoke into the other part of the phone, you know, the old ones like you'd see in the 1920s. So I think this must be from the 1920s or 1930s. All right, and I'm just going to read to you. Let's read the marketing materials from Jell-O, written, I'm sure, by a man somewhere trying to get housewives to use more Jell-O. The easy-made Jell-O desserts. We have been asked, how did it happen that Jell-O became so quickly America's most famous dessert? Because I'm sure they were asked that, right? That's not just some marketing copy they came up with. Here's their answer. It might surprise you. It did not happen. It came about very naturally. Because we all like something especially good for the end of dinner. When dessert time comes, the appetite is pretty well satisfied, but there is usually a little spot left that has not been touched and needs touching to make the dinner a complete success. Beautifully written. This alone should have made Jell-O America's most famous dessert. So that's now 3 times so far that we have heard their slogan. But 2 other reasons for its great popularity are the 10-cent price and the fact that a Jell-O dessert can be made in a minute. I don't know that it can really be made in a minute because it has to be refrigerated, right? But maybe they'll prove me wrong. It is a dessert for everybody, and it is so easily prepared for the table that the housewife or schoolgirl who never cooked anything in her life can make as fine Jell-O desserts as the most accomplished cook. Women who have made and served hundreds of pies and puddings and other desserts appreciate the saving of time, strength, and money which the Jell-O provides, and it is even more of a help to those who have had little training in the kitchen. Their Jell-O desserts are as good as anybody's. Jell-O is made in 7 different flavors. This will be interesting. We'll have to see how many of them are still on the market. All are pure fruit flavors, and not the kind that are used in the imitation jelly powders, which sometimes deceive even very careful people. They are also pure and good that you cannot make a mistake in choosing any of them. When you've tried them all, you may like some better than others, just as you may like one fine fruit better than other fruits, but you will certainly like all of them very much. Okay, here's what the flavors are: strawberry, raspberry, lemon, orange, cherry, peach, and chocolate. I have no idea what chocolate Jell-O would taste like. I know chocolate Jell-O pudding, but not chocolate Jell-O. So remember, these are the pure natural fruit flavors. I don't know how chocolate is a fruit. I mean, I know the fruit of chocolate, like the seeds, but okay. Each is in a package by itself and costs 10 cents at any grocer's or general storekeepers. It's from the Genesee Pure Food Company in Leroy, New York, or Leroy. I think it's Leroy. Always look for the Jell-O girl on the top of the Jell-O package. If she is not there, you are not getting Jell-O, but something else. I don't know why I love the writing in these marketing materials. If you get a chance, there is an episode that I recorded a couple of years ago where I read through a pamphlet written by Kellogg's. It's genius. So I love this stuff. I just think someone was writing, about Jell-O. Like, hi, honey, how was work today? I had to write about Jell-O. So that someone had to write this. I don't know why. I think that's interesting. So now we have a picture of 2 kids. This must be the 20s or even the teens because of how they're dressed. And they are gladly eating some kind of Jell-O based dessert. And it says, whoopee, it's Jell-O. If you want to know whether children like Jell-O or not, ask any child. Mothers say there is nothing to take its place with children because they like it better than anything else. And 2 or 3 helps do not upset little stomachs, as most desserts do. Which is very true, which is why Jell-O is so often served in hospitals, right? Not that I'm in the hospital very often, but there always seems to be Jell-O, plenty of Jell-O available. There are 2 very good reasons. Besides children's love for Jell-O, why it should be a part of their diet. It's good for them, and tired mothers prepare it more easily than anything else children like. Being one of the good things to eat that are good for you, Jell-O is served instead of pie and the heavy and expensive desserts that make so much work and are so hard on stomachs and pocketbooks. Though Jell-O doesn't have to be cooked and anyone can make Jell-O desserts, the best cooks in America use Jell-O in making their daintiest dishes. Marion Harland says, cheapness, simplicity, and their wholesomeness are among the best qualities of Jell-O. I have no idea who Marion Harland is. I'm not going to look her up, but perhaps she was a famous columnist or cook or author of the day. Mrs. Rohrer asks, and we don't know who she is, why should any woman stand for hours over a hot fire mixing compounds to make people ill when in 2 minutes with an expense of 10 cents she can produce such attractive, delicious desserts? Okay, because I'm sure that's exactly how she would talk. Okay, the flavors used in Jell-O are the pure fruit flavors. They've said that at least 3 times. Next, to make a Jell-O dessert, dissolve a package of Jell-O, any flavor, in a pint of boiling water. Pour it into a bowl or a mold and then put it in a cool place to harden. Serve plain or with whipped cream. To make individual desserts, use cups or small molds instead of a bowl or large mold. Without adding anything at all, many different desserts can be made from each of the 7 flavors of Jell-O. Such desserts cost only 10 cents and serve 6 persons. They are suitable at all times in all homes. So, if we're dissolving the Jell-O in a pint of boiling water, that is not a lot of Jell-O. And they're saying that it'll serve 6 people. I don't think people are getting a lot. Okay, Jell-O and fruit, a marriage made in heaven. I said that, not the copywriter. When more elaborate desserts are desired, they are easily made by adding fruit or nut meats, aka nuts, to Jell-O. Nothing can be more dainty and delicious than the combinations of fruit and Jell-O described in the recipes in this book and in the little booklet in every Jell-O package. Fruit is always nice for dessert, but as every housewife knows, when served alone, there is a peculiar air of incompleteness about the course. Jell-O and fruit together compose the most satisfactory desserts of the day. To make a fruited Jell-O dessert, dissolve a package of Jell-O, any flavor, in a pint of boiling water. When it begins to thicken, arrange it with a fork. Sliced oranges and bananas or peaches and strawberries or cherries or currants or any other fruit that may be preferred or is most convenient. Fruit can also be used as a garnish for any Jell-O dish. With fruit or alone, Jell-O is a nice serving with other meals as well as dinner, and especially for an afternoon and evening lunches when something particularly fine is desired. Many delicious dishes are made by using both nut meats and fruit with Jell-O, or nut meats instead of fruit. All of these dishes are easy to make, requiring no cooking, and their cost is very small. Little books and Jell-O packages tell us all about them. A note about molds, meaning Jell-O molds. It is never really necessary to use molds of any particular pattern or any molds at all to make the Jell-O desserts described in this book. Any Jell-O dessert can be made in a bowl or common tin. If whipped cream is added, it can be piled lightly on top of such desserts as effectively as it can be put in the center of a border mold. The gem-like beauty of the dessert itself will not be greatly changed by any particular shape or form that may be given to it. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about a birthday party because Nan is 6 years old and Mama and Bobby are giving her a party. And what a dinner Mama has prepared. Just now she is serving a Jell-O course, and there is no mistaking the children's approval. They all like Jell-O because it has the delicious pure fruit flavors that children fancy. They are apt to eat more than is good for them of some things they like, and disturbances of the stomach frequently follow such indulgences. Jell-O is one of the good things to eat, of which a little more may be taken without harm to little stomachs. Wow, judging from reading this, apparently upset tummies and kids was a big deal back then, which I don't really think it was. It's just their selling point, right? It is not necessary to make up fancy Jell-O desserts for the children. The plain desserts are so beautiful and delicious that every child likes them. The little readers of St. Nicholas, the most famous child's magazine, have been selecting their favorite advertisements in its pages and writing to the editor about them. This is what one little girl wrote. In my school, we had to write a composition on the advertisements we liked best, and many of them were for Jell-O, for we all love it. And it seems as if I could never stop eating it. It tastes so good. Okay, she's writing about Jell-O. Way to go. Okay, are you ready for some Jell-O recipes? So first, let me give you a Jell-O recipe from my life. As you know, I have been a lifelong dieter, and I am like an early adopter to Weight Watchers recipes, like early Weight Watchers, diet workshop, like all of those sort of diet programs. So here was one of the lunches that came in a recipe book that I actually really loved. But again, diet. Okay, I'm not saying it's healthy. It's just what I used to eat. A half a cup of cottage cheese. Not really enough cottage cheese, but half a cup of cottage cheese. And then you would sprinkle some of the diet Jell-O, no sugar, the diet Jell-O powder in the cottage cheese to flavor it. And then you would put in a little bit of Cool Whip and chop up some fruit. So maybe some strawberries or some canned pineapple, which I ate at the time. I don't eat it anymore. I can't do pineapple. But so you would kind of make this little like cottage cheese Jell-O Cool Whip fruit concoction. And I would take that for lunch. Here's the thing. I was always so hungry an hour later because clearly that is not enough food. But it was the diet culture of the day, and it's what I did. So the cottage cheese, a little powder of the sugar-free Jell-O, some Cool Whip, and some fruit. It's actually really delicious in a weird way, but I don't make it anymore. But it was my lunch of choice for a long time. And then I would be starving and probably go and eat a Snickers bar. But, hey, almost all days of dieting start off like that. Like, okay, I'm going to have half a grapefruit, and then I'm going to have my Jell-O concoction. Okay, let's order a pizza for dinner and give me the whole pizza because I'm starving by now, right? That's how it used to work for me. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm sure you couldn't possibly relate to that whole challenge of life. Okay, maple mousse is a recipe. Dissolve 1 package of peach Jell-O in 1 cupful of boiling water. Oh, we're just doing 1 cupful here. And add 1 cupful of maple syrup. My teeth hurt just from the sweetness of that. When it begins to thicken, beat with an egg beater to the thickness of whipped cream, and then add 1.5 cups of whipped cream and beaten white of 1 egg. Beat the mixture until very light and turn into the mold and pack in ice. So you have the sugar of the Jell-O and a cup full of maple syrup. So sweet, right? Okay, I'm sure it was delicious. Chocolate Jell-O. Dissolve 1 package of chocolate Jell-O in 1 pint of boiling water. Pour into a bowl or mold or divide into individual desserts by using small molds or teacups instead of one of the large molds and set away to harden. The individual desserts may be garnished with whipped cream and nut meats. So the whole recipe for chocolate Jell-O is make the chocolate Jell-O and put stuff on it. So, okay. Here's a grape juice frappe or frappe. Dissolve 1 package of lemon Jell-O in 1/2 pint of boiling water and add 1/2 pint of grape juice. Just as it begins to thicken, whip with an egg beater until light and spongy. We don't get to use the word spongy enough. Add 1 cup of whipped cream and stir. Serve very cold in sherbet glasses garnished with a spoonful of whipped cream. Oh, you know what? We have yet another maple Jell-O related recipe. So in this one, we're back with the peach or orange Jell-O in 1 cupful of boiling water, and then add 1 cupful of maple syrup. So this is familiar to us already. And when nearly cool, add 1 cupful of walnut meats and set away to harden and serve with whipped cream again. I can only imagine how sweet that is. Oh, I'm going to share this one with you because I really love the title. Paradise Pudding. Who doesn't want that? Hi, would you like some paradise pudding with that? Yes, I would. Thank you very much. I have no idea what's in it, but it sounds absolutely delectable. So paradise pudding. Take 1/4 pound of blanched almonds, 1 dozen marshmallows. Okay, so we know this is going to be good, right? 1 dozen candied cherries. I don't know if that would be maraschino. And if you listen to this regularly, this podcast, you will know my philosophy on maraschino cherries, that whenever they show up in a recipe, the recipe is going to be delightful. Okay. 1/2 dozen macaroons. I don't know if those are the coconut macaroons. I would assume they are. Cut these fine and stand aside in a cool place. To 1 package of lemon Jell-O, add 1 pint of boiling water, and when cold, set the dish in cold or ice water and whip until light and consistency of whipped cream. Then fold in 1 cup of whipped cream, the cut fruit, and 1/4 cup of sugar. So we're adding even more sugar to this. Turn into a square pan and set in a cold place to harden. Serve in slices. We'll serve 12 or more. Okay, I don't understand because they're not telling us about the marshmallows and stuff. I'm just assuming everything goes into the Jell-O with the extra sugar, because the marshmallows and the maraschino, assumingly maraschino cherries, will not be sweet enough. Okay, and then there's one called Delight Jell-O. Okay, again, delight. Would you like a bowl of Delight Jell-O? I would, thank you. That sounds lovely. This does involve the chocolate Jell-O. Let's see what else is going to be in it. Walnuts, marshmallows, whipped cream. A cherry can be added to each dish. Okay, well, that could be delightful for sure. Okay, let's see what else we can come up with. You know, this is a good time of the day for me to read these because I am just so punchy. I don't know if anybody else is amused by this recipe book, but I personally am having a good time. You know what? They have illustrations of some of these recipes. So with the Delight Jell-O, the Jell-O itself is in a ring, a Jell-O ring. And then in the middle of the Jell-O ring is a mountain of whipped cream with walnuts on top. And then the marshmallows go around the ring. I don't know. I'm sure it would be good. Maybe. I don't know. If it was 1920 and I was a kid, delicious. Okay, but let's get back to some of the copywriting because I'm here for that. And so here where we go. We have a picture of a butler, like a very Downton Abbey-like butler in the whole butler outfit. And then we have like a housewife in her apron. And they are both holding up the same Jell-O concoction. And here's what the copy says. One of the fine Jell-O desserts shown in the picture was made by a rich man's chef and is to be served by the rich man's butler, whose solemn visage is shown here. The other Jell-O dessert was made by the fair young housewife, who will serve it herself. The cooks are very different, but the desserts are as like 2 peas in a pod. People who can afford expensive luxuries do not deprive themselves of good things because they are cheap. So Jell-O, it's not because they're cheap. So Jell-O is often served in the homes of the rich as in any other. The incident pictured is only an illustration of the fact that anyone can make as fine dishes of Jell-O as any cook or chef can make. Jell-O does not have to be cooked. One of the Jell-O rules is never cook Jell-O, just simply add boiling water. The young bride who cannot cook and has started out to make her husband happy and keep him comfortable has a difficult task before her. and she will find that Jell-O will help her a great deal. She can make up delicious Jell-O dishes which no man could resist. Should we take a poll on that? At the same time, he will discover that the Jell-O price never goes up, and it adds nothing to the high cost of living. Okay, well, there you go. Okay, here's one that doesn't sound at all good to me, which I'm going to share it with you because, I'm not going to be the only one who suffers through this recipe. It is Pimento Jell-O salad. Now, I need to tell you that pimento things like pimento loaf, aside from a pimento in an olive, I do not have a positive association with anything with pimentos in it. So I'm coming here with a pimento prejudice. So dissolve 1 package of lemon Jell-O in 1 pint of boiling water. Mix lightly 1 small cup of finely shredded cabbage. This is going to be a savory Jell-O. I already told you I don't do well with savory Jell-Os, but that's okay because I'm never really going to eat this. So we have 1 cup of finely shredded cabbage, 1 chopped cup of celery, the pulp of 2 oranges cut fine, and about 1/3 of a small can of pimentos, said pimentos. Season with salt. Just as Jell-O begins to set, add the mixture. Mold in teacups or individual Jell-O molds, set away to harden, and serve on a crisp lettuce leaf with a mayonnaise dressing. Nuts may be added to the salad if desired. All right, this would be the kind of thing that if I went to a luncheon, let's say I'm a fine lady and I'm going to a luncheon, this would be placed in front of me and I would have to eat it and say, "Oh, Marge, this is delicious. Thank you." Do you guys remember? You have to. The episode of Friends when, of course you know this, when Rachel makes the trifle with the meat. Delicious. That's how I'd feel about pimento Jell-O. Okay, listen, I'm just laughing here on my own, and maybe you're laughing too. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're sleeping. Listen, anything could be happening right now. All I know is I'm amusing myself and hopefully you as well. Let's keep going. All right, we have more editorial from the people at Jell-O, the copywriters. In hot weather, when kitchen work is unusually burdensome, the easy, no-cooking Jell-O way is most appreciated. It is in hot weather, too, that the appetite is finicky and the cool, sparkling, beautiful Jell-O desserts satisfy it as nothing else. One of the most delightful of these dishes is the following. They're using one of my favorite words, delightful. It is a lemon fruit salad made with lemon Jell-O and fruit and whipped cream. I didn't even need to read you the recipe. Lemon Jell-O, fruit, whipped cream. Genius. Okay, what comes next is interesting, and I did not know this existed. Jell-O Ice Cream Powder. Did you know Jell-O used to make an ice cream powder? So let's read about it, shall we? As everyone likes ice cream, and I agree with that, everyone likes ice cream, and every hostess considers it as a necessary part of the menu for a formal function. I did not know that. It is extremely important that the simplest and most economical method be adopted for obtaining it. This was the problem we set about solving when we produced Jell-O Ice Cream Powder. It's all in the powder. This powder, added to milk and frozen, makes the kind of ice cream the appetite craves, pure, smooth, and delicious flavor. The sugar, the flavoring, everything except the milk is in the powder, and there's nothing to add. Of course, the cost is less than when eggs and other expensive ingredients are required. It amounts to just a little more than a cent a dish. As for trouble, there is nothing of the kind. There can be nothing easier than stirring the powder in milk. At first, all of this seemed too good to be true. and housewives would ask the grocers, "Don't I have to add sugar or eggs or anything except the powder to the milk?" Not until they tried it for themselves were some of them convinced that, though it seemed like magic, it was very real. In Good Housekeeping magazine for August 1914, which is giving me the first insight to when this might have been written, Woods Hutchinson, AM, MD, the noted physician author, says that ice cream every day, if fresh and pure, is to be recommended in hot weather even for children. I love this doctor. He's, or she, I'm sure it's a he, is a genius. He's saying ice cream is good every day in hot weather. Thank you. Of course, Jell-O Ice Cream Powder is as pure as the use of the most wholesome ingredients, and modern scientific processes can make it. Ice cream made from it is of the most desirable quality. Puddings of exquisite flavor and sherbets, soufflés, and other ices are also made of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder. There are 5 flavors of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder: strawberry, vanilla, lemon, chocolate, and unflavored. At all grocers and dealers for 10 cents each. You know what ice cream powders would be great for now? The Ninja Creamy. Listen, someone needs to create product for the Ninja Creamy, because we're all just making our own concoctions out here. So it looks like there will be a recipe here for grape sherbet, walnut ice cream, peach ice cream, something called Tutti Frutti ice cream, and Neapolitan. Where's the chocolate? I don't know if people in the 19-teens were as obsessed with chocolate as we are today. All right, and here's how to make ice cream in the 19-teens. Stir the contents of 1 package of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder, any flavor, into a quart of milk or milk and cream and freeze in the usual way. See directions in the back of package. Do not cook or heat the milk. Do not add eggs, sugar, flavoring, or anything else, as everything is contained in the package of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder. This will make nearly 2 quarts of delicious ice cream, and the cost will be about 9 cents a quart. When you cannot get fresh milk, use condensed or evaporated milk. Ice cream of fine quality can be made in this way. Evaporated milk should be weakened with cold water to the richness of cow's milk. If you prefer ice cream very sweet, use condensed milk weakened with cold water to the richness of cow's milk. There are full directions on every package of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder, and in every package is a little booklet or a folder containing recipes for different kinds of ice cream, ices, and puddings. There are recipes for banana ice cream, coconut ice cream, walnut ice cream, peach ice cream, and many other delicious creams which any housewife would be delighted to serve. One of the pudding recipes is so popular that it deserves the widest possible publicity and is accordingly given a place here. It's called Delicious Cream Pudding. So put 1 quart of milk in a double boiler, saving out 1/2 cup, with 1 package of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder, any flavor, and a pinch of salt. Stir it all together. Let the heat to the scalding point. Then stir 2 heaping tablespoonfuls of cornstarch, or flour if you prefer it, into the 1/2 cup of cold milk saved from the quart, and stir this slowly into the scalding milk and thicken to the desired consistency. In this way, a thick or thin pudding can be made. This is only one of the great number of particularly fine puddings that are made of Jell-O Ice Cream Powder. And so this is this beautiful little booklet published by Jell-O. It says anything sold in any other package is not Jell-O. Don't be fooled. That was me. It's not written there. The don't be fooled part. I was just ad-libbing. And the famous Jell-O desserts cannot be made of anything that is not sold and delivered in this package. There are other 10-cent dessert preparations, but the careful housewife will not take them when the same money buys Jell-O itself. So there you go. How Jell-O became America's favorite dessert, at least for a short period of time, until we discovered other desserts. But it's still on the market. I mean, talk about a lasting legacy. And I certainly use the sugar-free Jell-O pudding powder in my Ninja Creamies. So, Jell-O's still going strong. And, I don't eat sugar anymore, but back in the day I loved a good, Jell-O mold. And my neighbor is just starting their gardening, if you can hear that in the background. So this is going to be a great time to complete this episode. So I wish you the sweetest of dreams, and I send you so much love, and I look forward to connecting again soon. Thank you so much, and I love you. Bye.